only there was something that was constantly reminding people with broken brains, with fucking broken brains. I'm not supporting Russia, but you all see one side of the war. Got to see from Russia's side what would happen if NATO took Ukraine. His country would be at risk. Again, I'm against the war. What would have not started this war? What would have been the approach for not war to start in the first place? I already mentioned it. I already have said that so many times. So it's like really silly to consistently repeat it over and over again. But I have always been and will continue to be in favor of diplomatic options, exhausting all diplomatic options before war happens or even during war fucking happening. Okay, NATO doesn't take over countries. NATO simply creates a threatening presence for one country on the planet. Country where they train their fucking missile systems towards. That country is Russia. I've already talked about this a million times over. I think the main disagreement between people like myself who believe that, and the Mersheimer school of thought, and the people that believe that, the main difference between people like myself and my attitude towards NATO slash everyone else in the United States of America and most of the rest of the world, basically, is that they believe Vladimir Putin is trying to restore the Russian Empire. Okay? They believe that he wants to fucking abolish NATO. NATO is the only defensive force against Russian involvement, Russian expansion, and that all of these actions that Vladimir Putin has taken so far are towards rebuilding the glory of the Russian Empire or the USSR. The USSR to Electric Boogaloo, right? Now, of course, there's a lot of idiotic takes in that where it's like he's literally an anti-communist, so it's not the USSR, but Russian Empire maybe, right? Let me explain before I read any of the comments. So there's one side that believes Vladimir Putin, without a doubt, is like straight up interested in fucking taking over every country and restoring the Russian Empire, okay? He wants to take over the Baltic states. He wants to take over everyone. The other side believes that is not the intention at all, okay? That's not the intention. There is a red line that the American government also has acknowledged time and time again, that everyone has acknowledged time and time again, which is that Georgia and Ukraine, and if it were up to him, obviously Poland as well, but it's not up to him, clearly, because that happened, GG's, and other bordering nations to Russia have to be neutralized and not a part of NATO. But because it's too late for Poland, Moldova also, but because it's too late for Poland, because Poland is a part of NATO, he has taken over pieces of territory by claiming the almost exact same thing. The security of Russians are at risk in Georgia, and the security of Russians are at risk in Ukraine by using like, again, the grain of truth to justify unjustifiable acts of invasion, just so he can create territorial disputes and make it so that it is absolutely impossible for Georgia to ever join NATO, just like it is absolutely impossible for Ukraine to join NATO. Now, NATO already knew this. NATO nations already knew this. That's precisely why they never would have allowed Ukraine to join NATO. That's precisely why they're not sending any troops into Ukraine currently. The reason why they're not sending any troops into Ukraine is because they never intended to send troops into Ukraine. Okay? Now, because he has invaded Ukraine in its entirety, at this point, I don't know. I think that like the idea that he is doing this simply to create territorial disputes and ensure that Ukraine never joins NATO anymore, it seems like that is out the window a little bit. Sorry, that is the case. Now, is there a way to make sure that we find out if that's the case or not? Yes, there is. It's by reinstituting the Minsk agreements, for example. Okay, Ossetians, not Russians. Well, the Georgia one was that he was going to get fucking. It was going to be a threat to Russians inside of Russian borders, inside of Russian territory. That is, Russia wants everyone to be like Finland, okay? But because smaller countries that are not a part of the European Union can't be like Finland. They want to join NATO and get that fucking protective barrier that ensures that, sure, they'll be like Western client states ultimately, because that is the goal for a lot of Western states, is to, extract all natural resources from these nations that are in a dire economic circumstance, and also utilize their labor pool like they do with fucking Poland in the EU. But ultimately, it's worth it if they don't get invaded by Russia, like Ukraine is currently getting invaded by Russia. So basically what Russia did by invading Ukraine destroyed everything that Vladimir Putin, all of his goals that he could have ever tried to achieve, I think, in my opinion, have been fucking absolutely destroyed. Absolutely psychotic, madman, totally insane decision. I don't like how you constantly use Finland as an example of a neutral country. Obviously, neutrality is a weakness in Putin's mind. Yeah, that's why Finland has been untouched forever, and that's why Finland has been untouched since World War II.